I was injured. I was laying there 13 hours. I was under crossfire. I was ready to die. I was ready to shoot myself, just not to fall into captivity. 2 guys died on the way for me. War against Russia is a personal thing for me. I was fighting Irpin, Moshun, Bucha. Do I need to tell more?
Oh yeah, we hear a lot.
They are hitting targets right behind us, so it's a common thing. Now my wife is a rifle and my marriage is war.
You're watching UATV English. My name is Anna Nytchenko. Hello and welcome. Let me introduce brave heart and great friend of Ukraine from Czech Republic, Kronos. Hello and welcome, Kronos.
Hello.
Let me start from such a question. What does independence mean for you?
It means a lot. I'm a person who is free-minded, and I think that people should have like free will and independent on other countries, because like there's no way that someone else is going to tell you what you have to do.
And is it possible to get independence without war?
I think it's possible. For example, in my country we had 12th revolution and we get rid of Soviet influence, basically peace way, but all of us know that there is no way that Russia will leave countries around without war.
How long have you been here in Ukraine?
I'm fighting in Ukraine since 2017.
Why are you here?
Because war against Russia is a personal thing for me.
War against Russia, is this war, Russian invasion, only against Ukraine, or it is also against Czech Republic, against Europe in general?
It's against, there's more reasons. For example, in 1968, Soviet Union and Moscow decided to take my country, and then same things was happening with Georgia, now with Ukraine. Same scenario. The problem is my country didn't fight, Ukraine is fighting, and there I see like reason to fight for.
What exactly you've been doing all this time fighting against Russian invasion?
Stormtrooping, reconnaissance, just chilling and killing.
Is it hard?
Not really, to be honest. If you don't see enemy as a humans, it's not hard.
Are Russians humans or just creatures? I can't call them people.
This is a really hard question. Depends if we take like Russia as a political system or as a society. I'm not telling that every Russian person is a bad person, but that's why we cannot like think about people.
What did you know about Russia before the war, before the full-scale invasion, before you came here in Ukraine?
I know a lot of Russian influence, like around Europe, around Africa. They're mercenaries, or for example in Europe, a lot of spies are trying to like indicate like European politics, and I'm not gonna lie, they are good at it.
What changed now? I mean, your knowledge about Russia during this full-scale invasion, during this time you passed here in Ukraine?
Russia basically, I mean, everybody who have brain knows what's going on in Russia. It's totalitarian regime, and like something like this is not acceptable in 21st century.
Will Russia be an enemy for Czech Republic, for Europe, if Ukrainians, if partners of Ukraine, friends of Ukraine don't stop Kremlin?
Honestly, I think that like stop Russia here in Ukraine is our best call, because for example, if Ukraine is not fighting, everybody knows that it will continue, that part of Poland, Baltic countries, etc., etc. So our main task is bleed out Russian military here in Ukraine, so they cannot continue and destabilize Europe and my country.
What were you doing in your country? Tell a little bit me about your life there.
There was not so much life. I arrived here when I was 21, so basically like all my adult life I'm spending in war, so there was no life for me before. I was studying. It was complicated. Honestly, I really don't want to talk about my life before.
Maybe there are relatives left, maybe friends or not, or you don't want me to ask about this?
I have family, friends, not really.
What about your friends here in Ukraine? You've been so much time here.
Most of them are dead already.
It's really hard to realize such things, and it's really hard to go on and on. What helps you just to go on?
Maybe I'm just stubborn, but I'm coming from family with military tradition and history, and I didn't decide to live this life, but I can decide how I'm gonna die, and I want to die in a fight against my enemy.
Have you ever said goodbye in your mind when you were going to some combat, some missions?
Of course.
How is it like? I'm not a military person, I'm a journalist, and I can't even imagine, but I'm from Chernihiv region, and my family suffered, my home suffered from all of this, and I understand how it is to be under shelling, under bombing, but I can't even imagine how it is when you go in combat and you just understand that you may die.
I mean, for this you probably just need to have the right mindset, because like most of the missions we were doing last years, it was literally 50-50, you return or not. Usually I was just lucky that I wasn't on bad spot in bad time, and just a lot of luck. You know, when you are there, you're not thinking about it. I can die. You are trying to do your job well. You are trying to take cover. You're trying to, avoid dangerous situations. And if you are lucky and you don't do stupid things, you can survive.
You must be lucky. You must be trained.
This is not about training. This is honestly about luck. I think people who had like 25, 30 years experience from military, they were just on the bad timing. Mine landed, person died. 30 years of experience went off like nothing. Really, it's about luck.
Can you tell me about some of your combats, maybe the hardest ones?
In Klishivka, we were doing reconnaissance, and before we even arrived at the position where we had to work, my unit we were 6 people. I had 4 people injured already. At the end, I was injured. I had like 14-centimeter hole in my leg. I was laying there 13 hours. On one side were Ukrainians, on the other side Russians, and they were just shooting over me. And yeah, that was probably the worst experience from the war, because I was ready to die. I was ready to shoot myself, just not to fall into captivity.
Okay?
One of my friends collected people for the unit to evacuate me. Basically, 2 guys died on the way for me. So yeah, that was probably the worst experience from battlefield.
I can't even imagine how it is, how hard it is.
Sometimes it's just better to think about it.
But you know why you are here. You told me about this. You know why you're here, why you protect this country, why you protect these people. Telling about Ukrainians who surround you, you communicate with Ukrainians. What are they like? Do they say thank you, for example? Because
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of people, especially from the beginning, they were extremely grateful when they find out I'm foreigner. They were like, they always like, I was in a restaurant and people were almost arguing for paying for my food. And, at the beginning of the war, we had a really good group, people with the right mindset. And I was surrounded by true warriors. Problem is that, as the time is going, we are fighting already. If we don't count, ATO zone, we are fighting 2.5 years of official Russian invasion. And unfortunately, most of the guys from the beginning are gone already.
Every fighter, for me, here is a hero. and every fighter from abroad is really twice hero. And you told about Ukrainians. You are here for a long time. What about your Ukrainian? Do you know Ukrainian?
Трохи.
Трохи. Що я можу запитати у вас українською?
Ну,
Як ваші справи?
плюс-мінус окей.
Окей.
Чеська і українська мова, ну, це...
Дуже схожі. Ну так, це правда.
I can understand, but speaking is problem for me. But whenever you speak, I understand whatever you say. And if I'm speaking, I'm more like Russian words. Because I serve, I fight all the time on Donbass, and nobody speaks Ukrainian there.
You know, when I explain to foreigners, our viewers are from different countries, from USA, from Great Britain, from United Kingdom, I mean from Czech Republic, Australia, and many other countries. And you know, when there is a huge support of our UATV English channel, especially when the full-scale Russian invasion started, there were lots of viewers that wrote, Ukraine, we are with you, we support you, and they really support our guests, our fighters, warriors. And you know, from time to time, I ask my guests to tell something to viewers in your country. Because when you explain to your viewers, it's like another. You are from that very country, and you explain to people in your country, and they understand you much better than they will understand me. And I'll ask you to tell your people in Czech Republic why it is so much important now to support Ukraine in different ways, but to support Ukraine and to stop this Russian invasion. You just may watch this camera and just say some words.
So, main reason for my country and for our people, our neighbor Slovakia is slowly but surely becoming like pro-Russian province. Basically, if Ukraine will fall, we are neighbors to Russia. We cannot afford it and allow it because it happened once in our history. And if it happens again, everybody knows how it will end.
Absolutely. And what danger does Russia pose to the culture of other countries, to the people of other countries? What kind of danger is this?
I'm not diplomat or politician, you know. I'm here to kill people. But if you're asking me, I mean, I guess everybody should know this answer. Russia is big, massive censorship, dictatorship. They don't respect human rights. You as a person in Russia, you are nothing, and this is danger. I don't want to live in this. I'd rather die fighting for freedom than die in this.
Great words. You are so much time here, and you saw lots of atrocities. What kind of Russian atrocities, what kind of war crimes you saw that Russia?
At the beginning of the war, I was fighting Irpin, Moshun, Bucha. Do I need to tell more?
Yes, it's absolutely clear. They really killed so many children. It's really hard to pronounce, I think, these words. They kill old people, they kill animals, they don't care about medics, journalists, absolutely. They don't know what's war crime, just so many war crimes. But what do you think? What kind of punishment should be for such atrocities, for such crimes?
Hard to say. This is, as I said, like this is more like a diplomatic solution, and this needed to be solved in Hague, or, you know, most of the people who are directly involved in those atrocities are probably dead by this day, but I believe there are still people who are giving those orders, and they should be punished. And if I'm going to tell you what I think, what we should do with them, you will probably not be able to publish it. So honestly, I think only bad things about those people, and I want to do bad things to them.
And punishment, by the way, for whom? For ordinary Russians who didn't fight against their regime, for soldiers who came here, for Putin?
This is a really hard question because most of the soldiers, we are just doing what we are told to do, mostly without even wanting to do it. Russian society, of course, yeah, I think they should, storm the government and maybe try to do revolution, but this is also not really easy in this state where, like, every information you're sharing is controlled by the state apparatus. And, for example, you as a Ukrainian, you guys were in Soviet Union, so you understand probably how is it living in censorship and like every information is controlled, and it's not really easy to, cope the government like
Absolutely. I was born in Soviet Union. I remember these times, and I was a child, but I remember this time.
And today, Russians are really good at propaganda, and all of those generations are just degenerated by just like, propaganda, alcoholism, etc., etc., etc. So it's really easy to control people like this.
How can you imagine, let's imagine, Russia in 5, 10 or 15 years? Does it exist? If it exists, then how?
So if we put aside the option that we are going into nuclear war, I'd like to imagine Russia in, there as a federation, it fall apart. Other the republics will get independence, they start to live, the way how they want to, and Russia as big giant. Problem of Russia is they think they are like world power as a giant, and there's a problem because they unfortunately have like big military and nuclear capabilities, and if people like this have this mindset, this ego, this can be really dangerous. So hopefully in 5-10 years some things will change, and maybe Russians as ordinary people will understand how world see them now, and maybe they try to change something. If not, I'm afraid there will be permanent, never-ending war with this Russian Federation, and I'm ready to fight this war.
We're now in Kharkiv region. We can hear just shooting from time to time. It's ordinary thing for you now.
Yeah.
Aren't you afraid? Or what are you afraid of? What scares you now?
Of course, I'm afraid of when somebody's bombing you, when drones are trying to hit you. Person who says that he's not afraid is lying, or he's a crazy. Yeah, it's not about not being afraid, it's about how you work with it. And actually, feeling fear, it's actually really useful because it pumps you up, it's like, you're reacting faster, and it's just about how you use it. And fear helps your instincts.
And do you let yourself cry?
Depends in what meaning you mean cry. Yeah, of course, when my friends are dying, I'm crying on a funeral because I'm missing my friends and they died in good cause. But, a lot of people think that fear is just like sitting in a corner and crying. No, fear for me is hatred. Fear for me is pure rage and berserking. And, as I said, it's just about how you work with fear. But all of us feel fear. It's just about how we work with that.
And what keeps the spirit and hope for victory of Ukraine?
Main motivation and that feel, it's I know if we are not successful here, our other generations will need to fight this war again and again and again. Because, who doesn't know history should repeat it. And yes, we are repeating World War II now.
Absolutely. You told about common enemy for Europe, for Czech, for Ukraine, Czech Republic. Comparing people from Czech Republic and comparing people from Ukraine, what common they have? Maybe common values, something common with language a little bit, yes? What common?
Yeah, as you said, language, and I believe that we have in common to hate towards Moscow regime because, like, yeah, you guys were part of the Soviet Union, and yeah, we were one of the satellite states, and we Czechs we are like free-minded. We just like to do things our way, and you know, I think us Czechs and Ukrainians are similar in like we want to live our way.
And what do you think about support from Czech Republic to Ukraine? Is it enough? Is it okay? Or it's diplomacy?
Like, yeah, this is diplomacy again, but I'd like to say if we are counting like help per capita, basically Czech Republic gave to Ukraine everything they could. And thanks to Czech Republic, Ukraine can use artillery last 2 months because our president collected over 800,000 artillery grenades and paid it. So I think that Czech Republic is doing a lot for Ukraine. We are taking your refugees. We are taking so many of your refugees. When I'm back at home, it's rarely I'm hearing only Ukrainian language, to be honest. So I think Czech Republic is like really pro-Ukrainian, and our government is really supporting your country. And I think there is a reason for that because, as I said, we have same experience like you by being like occupied and.
Absolutely agree with you, and Ukraine is really thankful to Czech Republic, to people, to ordinary people, to politicians, to all the support of this country. And you're in army, you know about needs, Ukrainian necessities. What would you say? Just a second. Oh yeah, we hear air alarm. Yeah, it's normal.
Yeah, it's common thing here.
So you just don't care when you hear air alarm.
Yeah, just ignore it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like 10 times per day.
With shelling?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Usually, like drones flying right over us. I literally can hear them in the night.
When you hear, just continue smoking, or?
I mean, we are really close to Russian border. It's not far away, and they are hitting targets right behind us. So it's a common thing.
While we hear air alarm, I'd like to ask you last question for this interview. What are you doing? What are you going to do after the Ukrainian victory?
Not gonna lie, I'm not expecting I will survive till the end of the war. But if I do, I'd like to just go live somewhere in the mountains, separate myself from people, and maybe write a book finally.
In Ukrainian mountains?
Yes, Zakarpattia.
Maybe you'll find Ukrainian love, Ukrainian girl, and you'll be there.
I tried before, I burned myself. And, like, not gonna lie, like, Ukrainian women are amazing, but, you know, putting together life in military, in active war zone, and working relationship is almost impossible, and it's really exhausting, like, mentally. So maybe one day, but now my wife is a rifle and my marriage is war.
Thank you for this interview. Thank you for everything you're doing for Ukraine, for Europe, for Czech Republic. Thanks a lot. It was UATV English. See you.